our national anthem and UniSZA anthem. Thank you very much. Please be seated. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Terengganu Ing UniSZA Professorial Talk on Investment and Sharia Compliance Dilemma, which will be delivered by Professor Datin Dr. Rusni Hassan. We are gathered here today for this event, which is initiated by both University Sultan Zainal Abidin and Terengganu Inc. Ladies and gentlemen, to begin our auspicious event, may I invite Dr. Farouk Abdullah from Faculty of Business Management to lead the Dua recital. Please welcome.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الفاتحة. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين صراط الذين عليهم ولا الضالين. اللهم آمين. يا ربنا لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك، وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. رب اغفر لنا ولوالدينا ولأساتذتنا ولإخواننا المسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات. O Allah, the most beneficent, the merciful, the Almighty, fill our hearts with true knowledge and the wisdom and the understanding and enlightenment. Make useful for us the knowledge that you have given us. Make us reach to the knowledge which will be good for all of us. We seek refuge in you from the knowledge which is not beneficial, and which is the knowledge which is not beneficial, and also from the hearts which has not been satisfied, and from the prayer which is not answered. Oh Allah, there is nothing easy except what you have made easy for us, and you can, if you wish, you can make the difficult job easy for us. Oh Allah, make this event a success and beneficial for all of us. The knowledge achieved through this event make it beneficial for the state, for the country, for the ummah, and for all humanity. Wa Allah, reward the organizing committee for this event, those who have participated, the presenters, the participants, and those who have contributed in any ways. Wa Allah, shower your blessings upon our university, University Sultan Zain Al-Abidin, to all the lecturers, the students, and the staffs. اللهم لا تدع لنا في مقامنا هذا ذنبا إلا غفرته، ولا هما إلا فرجته، ولا دينا إلا قضيته، ولا مريضا إلا شفيته، ولا حاجة من حوائج الدنيا والآخرة إلا قضيتها ويسرتها يا رب العالمين. اللهم احسن عاقبتنا في الأمور كلها وأجرنا من خزي الدنيا وعذاب الآخرة. اللهم اجعل جمعنا هذا جمعا مرحوما وتفرقنا من بعده تفرقا معصوما، ولا تجعل يا ربنا بيننا شقيا ولا محروما. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. آمين يا رب العالمين.
Thank you, Dr. Farouk, for your presence and for your such a beautiful recitation of the dua. Your contribution has certainly added meaning and solemnity to our event. Ladies and gentlemen, now we would like to cordially invite President and Executive Director of Terengganu Inc., Encik Burhanuddin Helmi bin Muhammad Elias Harun, to the stage to deliver his speech. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause to Encik Burhanuddin.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin, wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Terima kasih Puan Pengerusi Majlis yang berusaha, Prof. Dr. Wan Nurhayati binti Wan Daud, Assistant Chancellor UniSZA in Strategic and Rating, yang berusaha Prof. Datin Dr. Rosni binti Hassan, Dean Institute of Islamic Banking and Finance, International Islamic University, where I had my bachelor degree in accounting before. Yang berusaha Prof. Mandia Dr. Mazuri Abdul Ghani, Dean Faculty of Business and Management, UniSZA, Dean of Faculties UniSZA, Head of Centers, Head of Companies Terengganu Inc., head of departments and other representatives from the state government of Terengganu. I'm speaking to the learned professors here, male and female. I believe, mothers made the best educator. I always like going to the university and seeing so-called lady professors handling so many big tanggungjawab and also responsibility to nurture and also to educate the students. I think Malaysian women, I know people still talking about equality and everything, and what pops out to me is that on my way back 2 days ago on Firefly flight, the two captains and the co-pilots are ladies. And then the two stewardesses, not to see from the Sharia context in the pakaian and sebagainya, were also there. So the flight was manned by four women. So I think the term manned by somebody has to be changed now. It must be woman by somebody or something along that line. But that's how far our ladies and our education has prepared our people to actually control certain big responsibility. And I had flown on a Batik Air before, and it was a male pilot. And the way we landed that day, the lady pilot was actually landing in a very strong wind in Terengganu. And I had a flight to JB, 2 times the pilot has to turn back. And they are male pilots. And then I was talking to my wife, I said, "Oi, takutnya pilot ni sampai tak boleh nak turun." You know, because true enough, sometimes it's the confidence level, and it was very pretty strong wind. I do not know why maybe I'm encouraged to see so many so-called learned women professors here today that I feel like I need to make that point. But I think even in TI, our ESG or our so-called demographics, we are very seriously looking at more women in our management role. I think at least we are reaching a 30% mark, which we are very much tracking it to make sure that everybody is given proper chances and opportunity. Never I would think that whenever a woman is actually holding high posts, that they are actually not as competent. It's never about that. When you are competent, you'll be able to lead a country, be able to lead a department, a university, dan sebagainya. So I would like to firstly thank UniSZA for the opportunity and hosting the place here to actually have this professorial talk. And my many thanks to Prof. Rosni as well for coming here to give us the speech. Prof. Rosni is set on 2 Sharia committee in TI group, satu under Terengganu Incorporated, and the other one is under ASDI. So she's very familiar with Terengganu Inc., and she's from Terengganu. Maybe one story before I go to a bit of the formality. It's never difficult to find a Terengganu person actually to bring back to Terengganu. It's never that difficult, meaning to say, whenever we do things, we try as much as possible to bring back the talents, the knowledgeable persons from Terengganu who are away from Terengganu. By that, I do not mean that we do not welcome people from outside Terengganu. In TI also, we got few head of departments who are not from Terengganu. But I would say that Terengganu has a lot of brains. I think in universities, overseas, if you go anywhere, you'll be seeing some businessmen, very successful ones, are from Terengganu as well. Coming to our program, this is actually a 3-year program embarked between Terengganu Inc. and UniSZA. We signed a memorandum of agreement. We are providing 300,000 financial support for all the programs that we are doing, including this professorial talk. We have so many other programs. We have research program, whereby UniSZA team actually go into our companies, especially say like Ladang Rakyat Terengganu, and look at the real problem that we have and try to find ways and means to actually overcome those problems. We have social responsibility program. We have professorial talk and publications. So this is one of the projects that we highly value this, and I'm happy to see a lot of my CEOs also are here, because this is one way of us educating ourselves This is very important in us handling our business on day-to-day basis. We are, inshallah, very committed to ensure that our businesses and investments adhere to the Sharia laws. As part of our initiatives, so we have formed a Sharia committee, like I mentioned earlier, comprises of experts in Sharia teachings and Islamic laws for us to better understand investment process. TI pun banyak lagi area that we need to move into this Sharia compliance environment. And also we have Ustaz Ahmad Tirmizi bin Taha, is also part of our Sharia committee. Roles of our Sharia committee include advising our board of directors and management team, including our subsidiaries, to provide input and Sharia-related matters to ensure our business operations and investments always comply with Sharia principles. We have established Sharia governance framework. We have done that. That comes hand in hand with our key Sharia policies. We found out something that when we do all the other policies, be it COBE, be it anti-corruption, be it anti-bribery, it's always Sharia compliant. It's always there in the first place. So when kita nampak tu kata, so Sharia compliance or framework must be at the top, and the rest will actually be it will be the umbrella for all the other policies that we have. And in Islamic investment today, it's important for companies to bring a sense of responsibility and the management of how the current and future investments and generate returns by preserving a concern for ethics and value. Today's professorial talk is very close to my heart as the company is embarking on a journey to ensure that our business constantly comply with Sharia law. The talk which we had today will help to support and guide us towards accomplishing this. In the long run, we hope to one day become the Sharia compliant business model for the state and for the country. With that, I thank you again to UniSZA for together with us in this program, and thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Encik Burhanuddin Helmi bin Muhammad Harun. Before that, you mentioned about women. Encik Burhanuddin, is it right? I would like to add up something. We, a woman, is a primary decision making. The biggest task coming soon is we have to determine the color of apparel of Hari Raya. Is it true, Din? So we are the primary decision making. Well, okay, without further ado, I would like to call upon Professor Dr. Wan Norhayati Wan Daud to give the speech. I would like to highlight Professor Dr. Wan Norhayati also is a woman, and she is from the Faculty of Business Management as well.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi semua.
Selamat pagi.
I quite interested with the beginning of the conversation daripada yang berbahagia Encik Burhanuddin tu. It is maybe because of in the front of us, 4 kerusi conquered by us. Okay. Okay. So thank you very much for your very good credit for the women and career development. Okay, especially for the UniSZA. Yang berbahagia Encik Burhanuddin Hilmi Muhammad Harun, Presiden and Executive Director Terengganu In, yang berusaha Prof. Datin Dr. Rusni binti Hassan, Dean Institute of Islamic Banking and Finance, IIUM, yang berusaha Associate Professor Dr. Mazuri Abdul Ghani, Dean Faculty of Business and Management UniSZA. Okay, all the participants from Terengganu Agency, Terengganu in UniSZA, staff, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, it is my great pleasure to welcome you all in Terengganu in UniSZA Professorial Talk. Okay, We are honored to have with us today distinguished speaker, Professor Datin Dr. Rusni Hassan, and along with us, President and Executive Director Terengganu, Professor Encik Baharudin. It is actually quite good, unique, and opportunity for all the participants from the various Terengganu agency stay and together here, and we try to look at the opportunity and knowledge, enhance the knowledge of Islamic banking and finance. Regard with the latest development in Islamic finance and also the investment, especially we cater for the Terengganu. Okay, so I congratulate to both of the committee for excellent organization, and also for it is, I can consider it is an informative event for win-win situation for all of the parties. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, it is when we are talking about the investment Sharia compliant dilemma in Malaysia, so it is a challenge, I think, for the investor who want to balance investment opportunity and regard with the Sharia compliant. So I think that we need to have the awareness campaign, educations, regard with the developing Sharia compliant investment ecosystem, collaboration between industry, institution, and we can promote better understanding Sharia compliant and attract more Sharia compliant investors and enhance competitiveness regard with the Malaysian financial industry. So I think it is a good platform for us to discuss, to gain, share knowledge regard with that matter. And then it is because of the investment and Sharia dilemma, it's sort of the quite big issue to tackle, and then we can come up with any good solution for, especially for Terengganu companies. Okay, and I think that it is important for the investor to understand Sharia compliant. We can, waiting for the, deliberation of the speech by Prof. Datin after this, where I think education and awareness campaign provide training and also information to investor about the Sharia principle and how they can make Sharia compliant investment decision, especially for the companies. And secondly, I think that it is a Sharia compliant investment option available. They could include things like investment fund, financial product design for us to be the Sharia compliant. Then they will help attract more Sharia compliant investors to promote economic growth. So finally, regard with it is a good collaboration actually between regulator, financial institution, Sharia scholar to promote the better understanding about the Sharia compliant and address issues that can arise and add on with the a very good solution for it. So it can create environment to promote a Sharia compliant and investment to help Malaysian financial industry to become more competitive. So with this step, I think that investment in Malaysia can more informative about that Sharia compliant, then have investment option available and can contribute better for the financial ecosystem overall. So I think it is a great hope for the Terengganu Inc. and UniSZA Professorial talk on Islamic investment. So it can open insight to all the participants, gaining value, knowledge, in-depth understanding, and I look forward to the participant to embracing the Sharia concept in investing and keeping up the rapid investment and challenges in the global world of the investment. With that, again, I congratulate to FPP, Faculty of Business and Management, and Terengganu Inc. for jointly organizing this very good platform for us to discuss about investment Sharia compliant dilemma. So I recite with the Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. It is my pleasure to officiate the professorial talk this morning. With that, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Prof. Dr. Wan Nur Hayati Wan Daud. Please stay at the stage for the officiating ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, now is the moment that you are waiting for. That is the officiating ceremony. We would like to invite all the BIPs to the stage to complete the ceremony. Please welcome. Now, we would like to invite both Encik Burhanuddin Helmi bin Muhammad and Professor Dr. Wan Nur Hayati Wan Daud to press play button on the iPad for the montage for Terengganu Ing UniSZA Professorial Talk. Everyone, please give a big applause. Thank you very much. Now we would like to invite, thank you VIPs. We would like to proceed with the exchange of gifts. First, we invite Professor Dr. Wan Nur Hayati Wan Daud to deliver a gift to Encik Burhanuddin Helmi Muhammad as a token of appreciation from UniSZA to Terengganu Ing. Next, we invite Encik Burhanuddin Helmi Muhammad to deliver a gift to Professor Dr. Wan Nur Hayati Wan Daud as a token of appreciation from Terengganu Ing to UniSZA. Thank you both Encik Burhanuddin and Prof. Dr. Wan Nur Hayati. Please stay there, don't move. VIPs, don't move. Now we proceed to our photo session for the VIPs on the stage. Thank you very much. All the BIPs are invited to return to your seat for another photo session. Dean, another photo session with the participants of Terengganu Ing Professorial Talk. Okay, how is it? We have to stand up, everyone? Really? Okay, please stand up, everyone. Sila berdiri, masuk gambar ni, masuk media. Ke kiri sikit. Betul? Ke kiri sikit. Okey, baik. Ke kiri sedikit. Style yang pertama bagaimana tu? Berdiri tegak ya? Okey, style pertama berdiri tegak. Okey. Ke depan lagi. Begitu. Ke depan lagi. Baju mahal tu kan? Ke depan. Ikut arahan ya, thumbs up, ikut arahan. Thank you everyone. Alhamdulillah, thank you everyone. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we will now proceed with the highlight of our event, Terengganu Ing UniSZA Professorial Talk, delivered by Professor Datin Rusni Hassan with the topic of investment and Sharia compliance dilemma. Before that, Prof, let me introduce yourself first. All right. Prof Datin Dr. Rusni Hassan is the Dean of IIUM Institute Allahu Akbar, of Islamic Banking and Finance, International Islamic University Malaysia, IIUM. She graduated with LLB Honours, LLB Sharia with a first class honour, Master of Comparative Laws and PhD in Law. Her area of specialization includes legal, governance and Sharia aspects of Islamic banking and finance. She is an active researcher and expert trainer in IBF. She also listed as top 10 contributor for research in Islamic finance in Scopus database. Allahu Akbar. Gitu. Dr. Rusni also actively involved in the IBF industry. She was a member of Sharia Advisory Council Bank Negara Malaysia, the chairman of Sharia Committee for Hong Leong Islamic Bank and Azim Bank Berhad. She is also the Sharia Committee for several institutions in Malaysia. Presently she is the board and members of Risk Management Committee for Etika General Takaful Sendirian Berhad. Internationally, she is the Sharia Committee for Housing Development Corporation and Housing Development Financing Corporation Maldives. Right, Prof? You are so awesome. Her contribution to Islamic finance in Maldives has been recognized by the government of Maldives when she was awarded the national recognition for outstanding contribution of females to develop and sustain Islamic finance industry in Maldives in 2018. Prof, good. She is registered Sharia advisor with the Securities Commission Malaysia. More, Prof, her works and contribution to Islamic finance has also been recognized internationally when she was listed among the top women in Islamic finance since 2013, Prof. Ya Allah, masih tak lahir lagi kita kan? Macam tu. The most recent was the top 50 most influential women in Islamic finance 2018. Top 10 most influential women, subhanallah, in Islamic business and finance for 4 consecutive years since 2019 to 2022 by Cambridge IFA. Betul, Prof? Banyak lagi ni, Prof. Kita potong separuh, Prof. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to invite Professor Datin Dr. Rusni to deliver her talk. Please welcome. Woo!
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, so happy that we have so motivated, highly spiritual MCs for today. Alhamdulillah. And yang berbahagia Tuan Haji said just now that he must have pushed the right button for today. And then Alhamdulillah, all of us are here. It's always good to be back to UniSZA, to be back to Terengganu. Alhamdulillah, I've been serving the that IIUM in KL. I've been serving international. I've been serving Bank Negara, Securities Commission, and many others. But it's always my dream to be able to contribute to the state, Terengganu, because I'm Terengganu. Yeah? And Alhamdulillah, by the grace of Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala, the opportunity comes to me when I was offered to sit PUTB 2017, and then recently with Terengganu Inc. Thank you very much, Yang Berbahagia Tuan Haji, for the the trust in me, and it's always good to contribute to your, we are not talking about alma mater here. We are talking about the place where you are born. Alhamdulillah, we want to see more of what we call it, good things that all of us can contribute to the place where you are born. Yeah? Alhamdulillah, thank you very much, UniSZA. Thank you very much, Terengganu Inc. It's really an honor to be here for the second professorial talk organized by Terengganu Inc. and UniSZA. And we have with us our guest of honor, Yang Berbahagia Professor Dr. Wan Nur Hayati, of course Tuan Haji, the CEOs and management of TI companies, sahabat-sahabat yang sangat rapat dengan saya, ya, yang kebanyakannya saya rasa kalau balik UniSZA ni memang ramai yang saya dah kenal, dan ada yang orang kata dah selalu in communication, ya. Just to bring us through that, the first time saya jumpa dengan Prof. Nur Hayati ni masa kami pergi Aceh. Masa tu dengan a group of us pergi ada conference di Aceh. And that was the first saya jumpa dengan Prof. Hayati. Rupanya jodoh berpanjangan, sampai hari ini pun jumpa lagi. Alhamdulillah. Yeah. Okay, so for today, yeah, Alhamdulillah, Assalamualaikum again. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Saya okay. Saya boleh tekan ni je pun boleh kan? Okay, when I got the invitation from Dr. Ashraf is here. Saya tak jumpa lagi. Yes, Alhamdulillah. Thank you very much. Then I thought of it's a simple kind of talk. Dr. Ashraf, you didn't tell me that it's going to be this elaborate kind of talk. So I thought, what I'm going to talk, what I'm going to speak, and then to whom I'm going to speak. So my thought at that time, and then until today, sampai tu, bila Dr. Husni bawa saya dekat nak masuk roundabout tu, wah, so big, I kata besarnya gambar. Okay, then Masya Allah, Alhamdulillah, thank you very much. It's really an honor. Bila saya dapat invitation daripada UniSZA, it's always very difficult for me to say no. Yeah, because again, it's good to be back, jumpa saudara mara. It's always good to makan nasi dagang. Yeah, so pagi-pagi tadi saya dah makan nasi dagang dekat Hotel Raya. Definitely they serve a very good nasi dagang over there. And Alhamdulillah, and it's always good to share a bit of my thought. So what I prepare here, the slides are basically some thought of me as regards to the topic on Sharia compliance and Sharia investment. And then what are the dilemma or the issues that we are facing? It's very much high level in a sense that I hope that it becomes something that is thought-provoking and for us to think about what is moving forward. For us on Islamic finance in particular, okay, and in relation of the topic that we are going today, a bit more of the Sharia investment. But I'm putting a big picture here so that this hopefully will motivate us to continue what we call it serving, continue to do our best, particularly through Islamic finance. My area is Islamic finance and governance, so thus I come from that particular perspective for my address today. Yeah? Now, to start with, yeah, that when we talk about Islamic finance, when we talk about Islamic investment, the topic that we are talking today, definitely compliance is part and parcel of it. We need to definitely understand that when we talk about Sharia compliance, we are talking about the principles of Sharia that cannot be separated at all. Yeah? Now, the challenge on Islamic finance and Sharia compliance would be translating the principles of Sharia compliance, the principles of Sharia, into the perspective of what the business operation, the commercial dealings, the financial intermediation, the investment environment that we are having today. That is the biggest challenge that we face. We know when we started Islamic finance, we know that this is the system that it should be free from riba. But the challenge of us, the biggest challenge to all of us is to translate the fiqh mu'amalat principles that I believe many of us, the shuyukh, the scholars, understand because we learn about riba, we learn about qard, we learn about mudarabah, we learn about musyarakah. But we always fail to connect the dots and to link into what we are doing on the daily basis. Thus, people now are more concerned of makanan which is not haram, which is not halal, right? Ayam tak sembelih kind of thing. Okay, we are very focused, we are very kind of, talking about pork, for example. But on a different note, okay, on another perspective, we are still, some of us are still having credit card which is from conventional bank. We still have an account with conventional bank. We still apply loan from conventional bank. Yeah? Why? Oh, we said that, well, it's much easier. We just go there once we sign everything done. The rate also is good, they said. Right? And, they are very facilitative and whatnot. So the point here is that our community is very freak out, if I were to say, about eating non-halal thing, but to some of them, not here, okay, but I believe that all of us here, we know about this, but out there are many still do not understand that actually once you open your account, when you have your saving, when you go to loan for conventional bank, this is riba. And this riba is something that is much, much severe than the non-halal food. I'm not saying that non-halal food is not good, but here we are talking about the community, about the global economy and whatnot. Now, again, I have yet to see any study how then riba can be, okay, considered as a very dangerous some element that can, in the economic perspective and whatnot. People are talking, but not a real study on that. Okay, so this is basically the scenario that we are having today. Alhamdulillah, after almost 50 years of doing half a decade of having Islamic finance, we heard about Islamic finance, the awareness about Islamic finance is much better. But the reality is that we don't really yet understand, we don't really yet take the opportunity of Islamic finance, there's a lot of challenge still. Even we as Islamic finance educators are still struggling to differentiate between profit and riba, right? We are still struggling to explain to our students what the difference between profit charged by Islamic bank as compared to the interest charged by the conventional bank. Believe me, I have my colleagues and friends who are still do not, they are lecturers and educators teaching Islamic finance for the last 10 years on the subject that they are teaching. But when it comes to the questions on the very basic questions, how? What's the difference? And thus, the perception that tak ada beza pun Islamic dengan conventional. It's very sad for us to hear such a remarks from the one who supposed to be promoter of Islamic banking and finance. And I believe here that, for example, in the case of Terengganu Ing, the challenge is for us, of course. And then we, the Sharia committee members, are trying to help the management and for us to ensure that the best ever, that in whatever possible manner, we do it in the right way in terms of our investment and whatnot. We always believe that the barakah is there. We may not even be able to count mathematically what is barakah, what are we getting. Mathematically, we can see that, Tuan Haji, right? If you have to spend some more money for us, for Sharia committee, right? And then the Sharia committee is not saying that, oh, Tuan Haji, whatever you want to do, then that's it. No, we are making your life difficult. We are saying that things that you need to come to us, things that you cannot do, things that you need to rectify. And then we even request, oh, Sharia must be strong. You must have that Sharia culture, Sharia awareness in the Terengganu Ing. So count mathematically, okay, then this is another hassle. Why should they doing that? Whereas as a entity that are very much profit driven, well, I should be more concerned on how much money that I am making. So that's always the perception. Yeah? Now, 20 years in Islamic finance industry, that was the first question that I got from the conference, the first I attended as an Islamic finance expert, yeah? Because previously there was no Islamic finance. When I first did Islamic finance, I was struggling, okay? Then that was the first question they asked, and until now the questions remains there. So that's always something. To me, I was like, wow, it's a challenge that we need to be going. Yes, I do understand, we do recognize that the awareness are there, but the challenge is still yet to be removed. Yeah? So now we are talking about ESG, SDG, ethical finance, and so on and so forth. What the difference between Islamic finance and the so-called initiative? I can just simply say that we are far much better than them, right? Tuan Haji said about the same thing. When we talk about Sharia compliance, it's full comprehensive, it covers all these things. But what we are not good at, the honor of Islamic finance is that we are not creative enough to come out and to develop this concept and push it to the mainstream, rather than we follow whatever concept that have been introduced by them, by those who are not from the what we call it, our group and kind of thing, and then we are basically riding on their concept. A lot more that we need to be doing, actually. We need a lot of talent, we need a lot of brain to do this. The journey is not easy, but this is the journey or the walk that we need to be taking, a must to every single one of us. This is always my intention, my wish. We may not be here forever, of course, definitely. I have 2 more years to retire. But does it mean that, well, afterward I'm not going? It's not. Every single one of us need to continue this journey. So when we talk about governance, when we talk about social value, when we talk about ethical things, we are there. We are already there through the Islamic finance. Okay? Now, when we talk about investments, Islamic finance, of course, I'm giving the overview that, mashallah, 50 years of doing Islamic finance, we can see that the growth, mashallah, excellent. Compared to conventional finance, our growth rate, we're talking about 10, 15%, always there, except of course during the economic crisis. But generally, globally, we are talking about the growth rate of 10% and above, which definitely cannot compete with the conventional finance. I believe many of us are educators, we are researchers, we know there's a lot of studies that have been done on the sustainability of Islamic finance, particularly during the financial crisis, where conventional collapsed, but we sustain. We sustain. We are still growing, regardless of the crisis. You can see the report. I believe that all the professors read the report by IMF, by World Bank, even by our central bank. I, alhamdulillah, had the opportunity when I was in the SAC Bank Negara during the financial crisis. People, you know, from US, from other Western countries come to Malaysia, want to learn how you survive, how Malaysia survive. Of course, they don't put it in newspaper, well, delegates from US came from bank. No, they didn't come. They don't what we call it, put it in the newspaper, but they want to know what we are doing. And then we can just simply say that, well, we are doing Islamic finance, right? We are the country, Malaysia is very bold when we issue our Central Bank Act in 2009. And then we put in the law that this country are having dual system, Islamic and conventional financial system. And this is not something very small. This is something very, very big. Other countries, of course, are also doing dual financial system, but they dare not put it into the law of the country. But we in the country did that. And this, of course, done after many years of doing Islamic finance since 1983, right? Bank Islam and whatnot. Only 2009, we said that we are confident the country have seen the good contribution that Islamic finance can offer to us. What is the advantage of having it in the form of law, in the form of Central Bank Act? It pushes every stakeholders. It becomes a regulatory obligation for Bank Negara to push Islamic finance, to other stakeholders to do Islamic finance. As is we are in Islamic, we are in higher education, there are some concerns saying that, well, there are an issue of graded employability on Islamic finance, right? People are talking about it. And then some have taken an approach of which they don't offer bachelor or in Islamic finance, but they go for bachelor finance because the employability, the students can go either to both. But you know what? I'm saying that this is not true. Now, once the government put there, once it is in the law that it is a dual system, what does it mean? It remains there until you amend the law. And I'm from the law, okay, I'm a legal, you know, from the legal, I know that it's not easy to amend the law. What more the Central Bank Act? The Central Bank Act was established, what we call it, introduced in 1958. No amendment has been done on that except in 2009, right? If you are saying that Islamic finance is not they will be having an issue, tak laku ke out there, it's not. Because at least in the country, in Malaysia, it remains valid. Okay. The growth, alhamdulillah, we are talking about trillions of assets and whatnot. Islamic capital market, funds, banking are, of course, the three main drivers. Of course, all of us know that moving forward, we will be seeing a lot of social finance, wakaf, sadaqah, and whatnot. So to the educators and researchers, this is the area for us to move forward in our research and whatnot. Okay? What is also good about Islamic finance development as of now? When we talk about the financial system, the conventional one, what is our parameter to ensure or to measure that this financial system is good? For the conventional side, it's always money. It's always amount. It's always profit. It's always performance. Performance in the finance perspective is always your return of equity, return of asset, right? Return of investment. ROA, ROI is always the measure. And then after some time, then, oh, we need to be expanding this performance going into the governance. But the governance also more aligned on how much this management, you know, the board of directors can bring money to the company. But the way how we develop Islamic finance is not that way. The measures for us to, assess the good performance does not only measuring money or how much we are bringing. Of course, it's good. Anyone who are not happy with a lot of money, definitely we are happy with that. Even in Islam, we are very much highly recommended to become wealthy. Why is that for? So that we can contribute more. We pay zakat, we pay a lot of things, we are helping people, we give sadaqah, and so on and so forth. That one is undeniable. But that's not the only measurement. We are looking at governance, and we talk about Islamic finance, we are talking about the Sharia governance. And the beauty of Sharia governance is that we have the Sharia principle embedded in. What are the values that we push in Sharia governance? We talk about Sharia culture. What Sharia culture means? Sharia culture means that, okay, simply said that when you go to the office, you don't want to see, for example, ladies wearing short skirts, people are not wearing kind of thing, right? So you must have that. Okay, Sharia culture also means that adalah surau dekat office tu, betul tak? Years before, we can go to the bank sometimes, even myself, I went to the bank at the earlier, nak pergi solat, dekat bank tu tak ada surau. It's true, When I was the first, when I become Syariah Committee, pergi, kita Syariah Committee, of course lah, meeting kan, dah zuhur nak solat lah, mana tak ada. So how? We have to go somewhere else, another building kind of thing. But is this what we are assessing Islamic finance? No. Okay. The second thing, then we go, of course, we talk about kita Syariah department ni, do you have the library or any resources on that? So that we'll be expecting as well. Because ilmu is the essence and the fundamental. You cannot have the Syariah team members do not even know. Nak baca, bukanlah nak kata semua kena bahasa Arab, tidak. Previously we talk about Wahbah Zuhaili kind of thing, okay? But now in the Malaysian context we are talking about, for example, the SAC resolutions and whatnot. So those are things. So these are the culture that we want to have in, and this is what we call it Sharia governance. We are expecting as well, once in a while, solat je jamaah, tak semua pun datang, right? So you may go to the banks now where the Sharia department, head of Sharia, for example, are doing more than advisory on Islamic banking. They lead in a lot of other things, giving tazkirah and whatnot. And this is the culture that we want to have. The best ever is that the CEO are doing that. And I believe Tuan Haji is doing that, right? But now we are talking about commercial banks, okay, and even Islamic banks, you may not find that situation, but this is what we are looking at. And at one point of time, we are expecting that the board of directors consisting of Sharia scholars, the board of directors, who are very good financially, good at business, good at what, but Sharia is also in their hand. Can you imagine what would be the situation? We don't have issue, we don't have challenge on Sharia because board understand, CEO understand, senior management understand. Yeah, inshallah. And at that time, okay, people are saying, Prof, if we were to have that, then no more Sharia committee? No, Sharia committee must be there because they are independent body. Now, and you look into the numbers of Sharia scholars, and this is the good thing because talent is important to us. We have Sharia scholars, 1,296. This is not good number, right? We want to have more scholars. Definitely, more scholars is needed in this big trillions of business. Yep. And interestingly, you look into Islamic finance education providers. We have 880. UniSZA is one of it. IUM is one of it. IIBF is one of it. We want to see more. Indonesia have much number in terms of Islamic finance education providers. Their numbers nearly 200, we are 80. So a lot more that we need to catch up on that. And as educators, the last item, you know, down there, Islamic finance research papers and Islamic finance journal. So we can see that what my point here is that, okay, I hope in 3,504, there are some, Prof. Habib, I know some of you are there, listed there. If not, we need to be, I hope this motivates us to be there in that number, inshallah. How to do that? You need to write. That's one of the disadvantage, that is one of the weakness of us, is that we don't write enough. We don't publish enough. Now, please, yeah, I'm not talking about publishing because promotion is good for you, but what is more important is by writing, by publishing, you are, this is your, you know, what should I say? The education, the ilmu that you are spreading out, and this is the ilmu that will be continuing to give us the rahmah, the barakah, even though we are no longer in this world, right? Al-ilmu yuntafa' bih is definitely something that we are looking at. Yeah? And Islamic Finance Journal. My point then, we are talking about measuring Islamic finance is much, much bigger and more what we call it a comprehensive way. So rather than the numbers, but we are also looking into talent. We are talking about the governance aspect. We are talking about the research because we understand research is important. Yep. Okay. COVID-19 definitely is something that we don't need to talk about. People know about it, okay? But my point here is that it is a challenge, but we can see transformation of Islamic finance, whereby we see a lot of focus now for Islamic social finance. Wakaf, zakat is there. And not only that, Islamic social finance also go into the perspective of bridging between the education institution and the corporate, just like what Terengganu Inc did, just like any other banks are doing now. There's a lot more bridger between the industry and what we call it education institution. And this is what we want to see. Yeah? So hopefully with the 300,000 that Terengganu Inc have given to UniSZA, we can utilize this for a lot more of impactful research, activities, programs, and so on. Because this is our da'wah. This is our job that we must be doing, every single one of us. We are looking, and then the impact, of course, there's a lot of focus on Islamic social finance. Digitalization is another area, and much higher level, on the macro level, is that we are looking a lot more on standardization between countries. Yeah? Standardization on Islamic finance between countries. IOFI, FSB are talking about merger and collaborate to ensure that there will be no kind of, previously I believe that all of you know, that IOFI are doing on their own, FSB on their own, ILM on their own, but now they are consolidating things together so that it will resolve a lot of, I would say, concerns and confusion of the public on Islamic finance standards. Of course, this is something that all of us know about. Why I'm highlighting that, putting that, the perspective that Malaysia is always the leader? Since when? I think since the report started being published on Islamic finance, Malaysia ranked number 1, and we are still number 1. Indonesia jumped very fast, particularly on Islamic finance education. Qatar, very good in terms of governance, and that's why pushing them. Normally Qatar is, towards 20. Now Qatar number 11. You can see other countries, Maldives, they are not big, but they are serious about doing Islamic finance. I can say that because I'm there. They're very serious. Of course, a lot of what we call it challenge that they face because they don't have many experts there. Yep. And the biggest challenge for Maldives is tourism, Islamic finance, or Islamic tourism. Because most of the tourists there are non-Muslim, and the expectation that in the resorts, those who are in the resorts, you have been there, for example, they serve a lot of non-halal food and whatnot. Yeah? So that's one of the challenges that they are facing in the country. A lot of what we call it development, the growing markets moving forward, report by S&P, report by Moody's and whatnot. We will be looking into a lot at the countries, the tan countries, like Piramli said, or tan, bukan Tanjung Rambutan. The Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan. They are serious about Islamic finance. Morocco is one of the countries that set up their Sharia governance properly now. They have their central Sharia committee. They, what we call it, introduce a lot of standards on capital market, sukuk, as well as takaful and Islamic banking. Yep. Okay. Now, that is basically the scenario of what Islamic finance, the growth and whatnot. Yeah. My presentation, I put it purposely, okay, I'm giving it, and then now move on, the subject matter that we are doing, the investment. I think I no need to explain what Islamic finance, what is it, what we call it, investment and whatnot. Now, the point that I'm highlighting here is that when we are doing Islamic finance investment, or what we call it Sharia investment, Sharia compliance investment, we are doing part of the religious duty. It is not because of that business kind of thing. Remember that what we are doing, every single effort that we put to ensure that our investment is Sharia compliant, this is the duty that Allah asks us to do. فَإِذَا قُضِيَتِ الصَّلَاةِ فَانْتَشِرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ وَابْتَغُوا مِنْ فَضْلِ اللَّهِ وَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا لَعَلَّكُمْ تُفْلِحُونَ. What is important here means that the Quranic verse is very simple. Once you perform your obligation, of course that's a personal obligation that we need to be doing, and other obligations which is commanded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, don't forget you have another obligation. What is those obligations? Spread out in the world, spread out everywhere. seek bounty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is what we are doing. It doesn't mean that spread out in the art, field art means that, oh, I must travel down there. No. What you are doing is that now spreading to global is much easier. Just by button sahaja, right? Because now it's very easy. Everything is done online. So you spread your wing across the world. That's what you are doing. And can we imagine that we are one of the humble Allah, servant of Allah, that are included in this particular verse? Because we did what? Fantashiru fil ard. By what? By having a meeting to ensure that everything compliance and whatnot. We are connecting everywhere in the world, with every people in the world. But while we are doing that, remember, wadhkurullah. What does it mean? Don't be too excited, overwhelmed with the money, with what profit and whatnot. Remember, what we are doing is lillahi ta'ala. So, going back to the very basic, that what we are doing, we are the servant of Allah, we are doing all this effort. I am standing here, you are there listening to me, what are this lady talking about? You know? Lillahi ta'ala. Lillahi ta'ala. When we put that Allah and lillahi ta'ala is your main niyyah, masyaAllah. I don't even have a control of your hearts, of every single one of you. Allah have it. Yep. So, again, in whatever that we are doing, how good money that we are, that we have. Yeah? Whatever award, whatever it is, but at the end of the day, why we are doing this? Fadhkurullah. Don't get too excited, don't get too absorbed of what you are doing, and then you forgot Allah. That's not the way. Wadhkurullah. And what Allah promises? Tuflihun. Right? Tuflihun. Sorry, jadi macam tazkirah pula. But to me, I always go to the very basic. Come on. Right? We study Islamic finance, if for my students, for example, not because they always talk, what are the job opportunities that I'll be getting? Of course, that's one of it. But at the end of the day, why you are doing this? You are doing lillahi ta'ala. The rizki, tuflihun and falah will come later. Inshallah. We must believe in that. This is the concept of barakah. We do it lillahi ta'ala. So, inshallah, we believe in that, and this is where we are very different than conventional finance, or all those conventional people, because their measure is only money. But we go much deeper than that. Okay? Why? Again, this is our duty. And the hadith, seeking halal earning is duty after the duty, means that we cannot compromise your main duty as the servant of Allah. Your salat, your iman, your ihsan, and everything is there. But next, from that particular Quran verse just now, that you need to fantashiru fil ard. And wadhkurullah, remember Allah. What you get? Al-falah, masyaAllah. Yep. And this is the worldview. I will not be going into everything here, but I'm just sharing this, some thought. Basically, educators know about this. But are we translating it in a real life? Hablum min Allah, whatever we do, lillahi ta'ala, hablum minan nas, we are communicating with people. Khalifah, we have accountability. Al-falah, this is what we want, not only in this world, but also the hereafter. Tazkiyah must always be there. We are not talking about getting money, but are we contributing to the people? Simply muhasabah. Dapat gaji, dapat bonus, whatever it is, zakat bagi tak? Simple. You know? So, taklif, adalah. We must be observing all those justice and whatnot. So, no riba, no gharar, because it is not adalah. And why we are doing this? Maslahah. We are not talking about our own personal interest, we are talking about public. What are we contributing? And of course, this is Sharia guidance in terms of the investment. I will skip some of it, what we call it in terms of the slide. Okay. The And then I move on to the third part is that some of the Sharia or Sharia compliance investment, stocks and whatnot that we can explore too. This is very much, I would say, academic discussion of it, but I'm just sharing that, you know, these are the options that we are having. The purpose is that to share that this is the stock, equity and stock, if conventional have, Islamically we have it as well. Maybe we have a challenge of not sufficient in terms of the number, but the option is always there. Yeah. Now, we're talking about the ordinary shares, but we do have also preference shares. And the preference shares also is a Sharia compliant, right? So the options that we do have in terms of the investment mechanism and platforms are there. I'm just putting a brief overview here. These are the principles that when we buy equity and stocks, this is actually musyarakah. So don't say that, oh, ini equity ni, macam mana stock ni. First key adalah choose the Sharia stocks, Sharia compliant stocks. What is your contract when you buy the stocks, when the company buy the stocks and whatnot? Musyarakah. Oh, dulu pernah belajar musyarakah ni, tak terperasan pun. Oh, rupanya bila kita beli share, oh, kita dah buat musyarakah. I believe that all of you, that even not all, many of you have you buy stocks, you buy shares, right? So, you are already partners. And whatever offer, and then that, when by virtue of that partnership, you have the ownership of that particular company that you own. The money that we buy is our capital contribution, and therefore, we are entitled to the profit. Sharia-wise, so what's the difference with the conventional one? Oh, conventional pun, saya beli, saya dapat juga profit, right? But what is the akad there? The contract is loan. What we get is basically more on the, what we call it, the interest on that, in that manner, or even sale, but again in the form of interest. But see, we are a bit more refined when we look into the Sharia concept, Sharia compliant aspects. We are very refined because in every single layer of the transaction, there are identified principles there, identified terms that we need to be following. So we cannot lump everything together, oh, tak tahu. No, that is gharar. Yeah? Okay. So, means that the way how Sharia put it in a very refined, structured manner, of which we know, we need to know, we must know. We must know. Okay? I do not know, maybe this is to some of you, oh, this is the first time. Saya pun ada juga beli share. Share kat mana? Koperasi UniSZA, maybe, right? Because staff UniSZA akan dapatkan, that you can subscribe to koperasi share and whatnot. Oh, rupanya musyarakah kat situ. Right? We did that. We are doing that. Of course, what is important, as I did mention, of course, there's no issue on ordinary share. Ordinary share is a simple, straightforward musyarakah contract, and that the profit that we get is, of course, in terms of the profit from the musyarakah business. What is also important to us when we talk about stocks is that the Sharia screening. This is more on the view of preference shares by the SAC or Securities Commission, that as long as the ordinary share and the preference share that we buy, that we subscribe, comes from Sharia compliant company, then it is good. For preference shares, as long as it is non-cumulative, then it is considered as good. So these two conditions must be together, and we have no issue on Sharia compliant. Sukuk is something that we can subscribe as well, right? Now we need to understand how sukuk works. I'm not going to go into detail here as well, but just sufficient to say that what we call it, when we talk about sukuk, we talk about bond, we have equivalent sukuk. There are certain conditions that we need to be fulfilling in terms of the sukuk, and Malaysia is one of of course, there are the third country in terms of the global sukuk issuance. Yeah? The biggest is still what we call it GCC countries, UAE in particular, and then of course Iran is always there in the picture, okay, and Malaysia is the third, as of the report for the last 2-3 years. Yeah? Okay, so what is important is that, of course, as of now, once it is Sharia, when it is Sukuk, and then it's much easier for us to subscribe to Sukuk. Yep. Okay. I'm, as educator, always prepare a very detailed, I would say, slides, because our thought is always that I'm not going to go through every single slides, but if it is given to the participants, you can use it as a reference for you later on. And the amal on the, orang kata, barakah tu still berjalan untuk saya. Even though one simple reference to my slides that I've given you also is good to me. Ya, Alhamdulillah. Saya nak kumpul banyak-banyak ni sebab tak tahu bila kita nak pergi kan? Okay. Stock screening is something that I believe that companies are doing. Terengganu Ing is doing. Okay. And then of course on individual basis also we can simply do it on our own. Yeah? There are very refined process on stock screening, and then of course in our case Securities Commission are doing that, and then it's a simple, the purpose is of course to ensure Sharia compliant. Right? Now we are very fortunate that there's a list Securities Commission have prepared for us already, what companies are considered as Sharia compliant and whatnot. So some, even my students, some friends also asking, so why are we then crack our head to understand what is Sharia screening process and whatnot? It's beneficial for us, especially for the company which is pre-IPO, which is not listed yet. But we may like to, what we call it, invest in that particular company. So the understanding on stock screening process is important. For particularly if we were to invest in PE, private equity, yeah, that would be very good for us to have this knowledge. So that's why for the company, corporation, for example, that invest in this kind of activities, they must have your own sets of stock screening process. Not following exactly what Securities Commission is having, but it could be some other way of measurement, okay, on to ensure that your stocks or the investment that you are doing in IPE, for example, is something that is Sharia compliant. The easiest way is of course looking into the status of the companies, looking into the primary activities that they are doing. If it is halal, then no issue. If it is non-halal, also no issue. No issue means that no lah, straightforward. No issue doesn't mean that approve, no. Because non-halal then cannot lah. The biggest challenge is that when there is a mixed activities, which most of the companies are that way. So you need to have the mechanism on what kind of criteria that you are going to assess that. Securities Commission is always become the reference for all of us. But we do understand that we have other company that are not listed, and then you need to come out. And then if every corporation have a different mandate, different purpose and whatnot, right? Now, that all of us know that PNB, for example, is a big giant company, what we call it, government and whatnot. And then of course we had issue on ASN previously, right? Halal ke tak halal ni? Right, permissible or non-permissible. But Alhamdulillah now, I think all of us are aware that all states mufti said that ASB is halal or mubah. Halal or mubah? Mubah. Dia tak cakap, mufti tak cakap halal. Dia tak pun cakap halalan thayyibah, tak. Dia kata mubah. What does it mean? It is permissible. The choice is yours lah, right? If you are confident, then you take it. If you tanya hati lah, maksudnya, kan? So that depends on your religiosity kind of thing, the warak kita lah, yeah. So mufti or the states does not say that it is kind of, it's more on mubah, means that the option is yours. We need to measure. If you don't have any other investment, might as well you take it, right? That's the easiest way of SNSB kan. Kalau tak ada investment lain lah. But you have other options, then you go to the other investment. Yeah. And these are the list of non-halal activities. Yeah. We are not talking only for the company who are offering activities which is Sharia non-compliant, but also you look into the list, those who are involved in advertising of such an activities is also non-compliant. Okay? So, of course, we need to avoid this. Your list of non-halal can be different from one case to the other, depending on the maslahah and whatnot. And that's the reason why I'm sharing the overview, the worldview just now. The maslahah is definitely some of a very important criteria for us to decide. Who then can decide whether it is maslahah or not? Is it the CEO? Is it the board of directors? No. It must be independent Sharia committee. Sharia scholars will decide. Why then Sharia scholars must be independent? Because they need to them money, profit or not of the company is not my, what we call it, concern. Not that not concern at all, okay? But they must be giving an honest view on from the Sharia. Sorry. As regards to Sharia compliant aspects. Yep. So these are lists, I just put it there. Of course, when we talk about hotel and resorts, Terengganu Ing pun kata, kami pun ada hotel ni, macam mana ni? Okay, you know what kind of hotels that you are talking about, right? Nanti kan, alamak, tak boleh pula. Operating cinema, I put it there. But some scholars, some Sharia scholars are saying that cinema is okay now. Because cinema is not like when we used to it before. Cinema ni gelap, orang pergi buat funny things over there. But now cinema is for family. Yeah? But these are the lists that you can put it there. Okay? Okay. Of course, we look into the quantitative as well as the qualitative analysis. Securities Commission have issued this. Of course, the business activity benchmark 5% and 20%, as well as the financial ratio benchmark, the 33%. We are a bit unique on the 20% compared to Dow Jones, compared to other FTSE, for example, Standard & Poor's, because we have the 20%. Yep. Why the 20%? Because we are different than other country. We have still a lot of leasing, what we call it, you know, the financial instruments based on lease. We have REITs, for example. And then if we were to keep the 5%, our Islamic REITs will be having a big challenge. Yep. So the 20% is there. Okay. The qualitative analysis is the most difficult part, where the Sharia scholars need to decide. This is where, you know, it's beyond numbers. We're talking about image. We are talking about our unique, what we call it, proposition, the mandate that you get, every company, every corporation. We are talking about the maslahah of the people, of the citizens of Malaysia. We are so unique. Yep. So what we are having is different from one jurisdiction to the other. Anything which is non-compliant, we need to purify. Are we? The best is, of course, yes. But for Sharia Securities Commission Malaysia, there's no need for you even. Yeah? This is what Securities Commission said. But I know as of now, many have purified it. Unless if it is proven that the amount is so big, then it will be a big challenge to the company to, what we call it, purify it or to cleanse it out. Dow Jones, as you know, yeah, that I'm just putting this as a simple comparison. Even though what we call it, yes, of course, Dow Jones are internationally subscribed by many countries. They follow the IOP standards and whatnot. The difference between Dow Jones and us is that Dow Jones is private company which do not have the legal enforcement power, whereas Securities Commission is the regulatory authority having the legal power. And if we do not follow whatever the guidelines issued by Securities Commission, here we go. You will be getting the love letter kind of thing. Yeah? What is interesting enough for Dow Jones is that there is a special screening criteria for the companies that are converting to Islamic. There are certain conditions that they need to follow. For example, you must have, if for a company, for example, in the process of converting to become Islamic company, yeah, then you must have the board resolution saying that, well, this is the way moving forward. And all the activities that you are doing, that the company is doing in terms of converting their assets, their business, operation and whatnot, need to be done with close consultation with the Sharia scholars. And that is the requirement. Now, this is quite normal to us, but the impact when Dow Jones have issued this screening, the impact, because people all globally are subscribing to this, many companies, a lot of companies who, wish they know they have been doing, they are conventional, but they believe in Islamic finance because they can see the return and whatnot, the value, the ethics, the value proposition that Islamic finance is having or can offer them. Previously to them, they do not, there's no such thing of, if I were to become Islamic, then it's going to be difficult and whatnot. But once Dow Jones have issued this, hundreds of global companies started their exercise to become Islamic. That's the impact of it. Yeah? You can read Dow Jones, what we call it, reports and whatnot on this. Hundreds. I can't remember exactly the numbers, but we're talking about hundreds of companies globally. Of course, these companies are the big giant, what we call it, conglomerate in the respective countries, and they are, because there's room for them. Because once they convert, it's not that they stop everything and then, can you imagine you are in the process of doing good, and then suddenly, when I want to start, everything becomes Sharia compliant, then you need to replace people, it's not. There are process of which, even though you are, for example, you will be doing it on partial basis. Certain will be, you have that kind of plan and you still be recognized as Sharia compliant company. Yep. And we definitely can invest in their stocks, in their shares. Now, I come to the last part of it. What are the dilemma? Now, let's see. This is the data, this is the report. Global Pyramid of Wealth 2021, Global Wealth Distribution. You see the pyramid, the lowest, where the amount of wealth are distributed to the biggest number of people. And then how much it is? It is only 1.1%. Yeah. So wealth distribution is an issue because many people in the world are still sharing this, what we call it, very small portion is small, but it is shared by many people. Whereas on the top, it is shared by very small people. So wealth distribution is an issue. Those are very rich, but many are very poor still, because we're sharing the resources, which is not many, but shared by many people. And thus the issue of poverty is still the issue which remains there in the world. 700 million people live in poverty in 2020, 10% of the world population in extreme poverty. 160 million children are at risk to live in extreme poverty by 2030. 2030 is few more years to go, several years to go, right? And this is the reality. This is the reality that we are having globally. I put it into the perspective of global because Islamic finance is supposed to solve this issue. It's very sad, it's very irony, even though Islamic countries, Muslim countries lead Islamic finance, but the poverty level in those countries are very big. Yeah? So the question is that, what Islamic finance contributing, right? Let's move to Malaysia. Okay? Now we have seen the data that, alhamdulillah, we are doing good. GDP grow, very good. We have the data 1960. This you can find the data from Khazanah Research, that I found it. For 2020, 1.3 trillion ringgit Malaysia. Alhamdulillah, we are doing good on economic. Incomes in terms of what we call it, less people are poor in Malaysia. Alhamdulillah, very significantly declined because absolute poverty declined significantly in very small here. Then very started from earlier, 1970 was 49.3, now is 8.4. Alhamdulillah, it's a good sign of economic growth in the country. Okay, and the data also shows that we are doing good on health. Yeah? I think we can see that people are very concerned about health now. Okay, then life expectancy has increased, mortality rate have reduced. We are very educated, alhamdulillah. Yeah? There are big detailed data, but I didn't manage to share it here. But we are talking about, well, we are very educated in Malaysia. The challenge, however, this is the reality. Household debt. We have a lot of debt, right? I believe that all of us, anyone are not having any loan, any financing, don't lah. But I believe that at least I have credit card lah. See, most of our debt is for residential properties rather than investment. No. We don't. I mean that we spend a lot, and residential is daruriyat, my friend. Is daruriyat al-khamsah. Remember, life. Because residents protect your life, protect your religion, protect your nasal, protect your intellect. Residents, you need to have home. We are still struggling for home. Our home loan financing, 20 years, 30 years, it doesn't help. Cars is another. Personal use, yalah, kalau student-student kita nak kahwin pun buat financial loan kan, buat financing juga. Credit cards, and so on. Yeah? And another serious issue is aging. The aging issue, by 2045, we are 14% of population of Malaysia become aging. Yeah? Yet, the saving is low. Financial fragility, this is the data from EPF. When we retire, we rely, 41% of Malaysians rely on EPF. Unfortunately, the money in our EPF account is less than 240,000. By the time we retire, 60 years old, we should be having minimum 240,000 if your lifestyle talking about 1,000 a month. 1,000 a month. Lepas ni boleh tengok lah InsyaAllah. Agak-agak boleh tak 240,000 by the time of retirement, dan belanja kita tu 1,000 je sebulan. Bayangkan sekarang 1,000 kita nak buat apa? Tak. Anak-anak kita pun, no, I mean that, 1,000 now is not much. Financial literacy is a big issue as well. 52% of Malaysians above 18 not yet start investing. Malaysians from all walks of life struggling financially. 70% of respondents in this survey, okay, have saved less than 500 a month. 60% can only survive 3 months sahaja based on saving dia. Itu pun gaji, kan banyak gaji lah. Gaji habis bulan habis. Saving, well, okay. 55% of Malaysians spend exactly or more than what they earn paycheck to paycheck, what I mentioned. Salary habis bulan, habis. Betul tak? The worst lagi, hari ni dapat gaji, pergi ATM, besok dah tinggal RM100. Yep. Okay. Then, well, tak apalah, orang tua-tua mungkin tak aware pasal investment. Are youth investing? They are not. They are not. Eh? Why they are not investing? Because they have this YOLO mentality. You only live once. Enjoy. Eh? Lifestyle is the most important thing to them. Lifestyle. Lifestyle is very, why should I, think about future? Terlebih kot tawaduk ataupun dia, tawakal. Kind of thing. Tak apa, insyaAllah adalah orang tolong kita nanti. Kind of thing. Okay? But they don't have that concern on the future. Why I'm sharing that? So this is something, it's a real issue that we are facing. We need to be doing something. Education, awareness, start off with our own family. Start creating a trust fund or unit, what we call it, investment trust fund unit for your children, for example. This is something that we need to be doing. What are the choice of investment for Malaysia? Most of them are investing in unit trusts, stocks, and cryptocurrencies. Not very happy about crypto, but, well, that's the choice. And another one is gold and ASB. Then, this is rightly when the budget 2023 says that, well, now we can add our ASB to 300. So hopefully anyone, they will open it soon, then everyone can subscribe to increase your ASB. Okay, unit trust, I'm going to skip this. Of course, we have issue maybe in terms of the stocks, the number of stocks, Sharia compliant stocks, not many. We need to be having more. Okay, cryptocurrencies is an issue. We need to be very careful. Issues which is yet to be resolved. Legally, Bank Negara still yet to declare this as legal tender. I don't think that is going to be declared for the near future. Many of countries have yet to consider that as a legal tender. Okay, then of course there's another issue on Sharia status of cryptocurrencies. Now, moving forward. Moving forward, then I'm bringing back the perspective of Islamic finance. This is the real data from Khazanah Institute showing the growth of our Islamic finance industry, our system. We are growing very well. Capital market. When we talk about capital market, this is where the room for investments, not only for the corporate, but also for the individual. Islamic banking is also another option for investment. Your FD, it means that simply that put your FD better than your current and saving account. These are simple things of which even my fellow professors and colleagues who are very highly educated, maybe sometime again, do not, tak kisah pun duduk je lah kat current and saving account tu. If you have money 100,000, for example, untouched for several months or even half a year, for example, move it to either gold or FD. Gold is better rate. Yep. Better more if you go for trust fund. I think we need to be more aware of this because it's very serious issue of no investment for all population. Malaysian, very serious. Yeah? Now, we have a very good, comprehensive Islamic finance ecosystem. Talent is definitely something that we are doing very good. Okay, and whatnot, we have a lot of supports there. We are going towards SDG, ESG, green finance and kind of thing, which is of course something that we are not what we call it unfamiliar of in terms of Islamic finance. on literacy part. Do we really understand what Islamic finance is? Are we able, again, on my point, connecting the dots just now? Okay? What we know, oh, Islamic finance, Sharia compliant, and oh, no riba, no gharar. Everyone can say that. Do you really understand the implication? Do we really understand what products that they are offering? What we know of is that many people say that, alah susah lah buat Islamic finance ni. Buat tawarruk lah, tiba-tiba nak beli CPO. Why on earth? Okay. And we are talking much bigger down there on the iceberg. We are talking about sustainability. And this sustainability concept of Islam is beyond money. We are talking about sustainability on how we as a Khalifa can contribute and at the end of the day, reach al-falah. Going back to the very basic, what is the essence of Islamic finance? What is the opportunities that Islamic social finance can offer? And I would like to end, I'm putting all this perspective, put some thoughts so that everyone with different perspective taking it, are we really in Islamic finance? If we were to really reap the benefit of Islamic finance, what is the key? We need to understand. We need to understand. It's a challenge to us, and then I always believe that, you know, knowledge is everything. Knowledge is everything. Keep on sharing, keep on, you know, searching, and keep on, definitely we're talking about lifelong and whatnot. And then we must truly believe, Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. Inshallah. I end by that. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much, Prof, for your speech. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now we open for question and answer session. Please. You may ask question also in Bahasa Melayu.
Jangan bahasa Arab sudah. Saya minta Prof Engku tolong translate untuk saya kalau ada bahasa.
Silakan tanya, ini momen yang paling bersejarah saya kira Prof untuk bertanya soalan kepada Prof.
Okay.
Oh, gitu. Silakan. Okey, Dr. Farouk. Alright.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
Farouk
warahmatullahi.
Abdullah from FPP UniSZA. So thank you very much, Prof, for this insightful speech and really very enlightening about Islamic finance. So actually, my question is regarding the dilemma in Islamic finance and the social impact. Well, actually, I'm keeping this to ask you this question for quite some time. Well, when we look into the social impact, and you mentioned that there's no gap between Islamic finance and the ESG and so on. But recently we have heard that, you know, some Malaysian companies, to be specific, not to hurt anyone, like some globe makers, they have been sanctioned by US because of the exploitation of the workers, right? But these companies, they are still Sharia compliant. So, but we know that the Sharia does not allow exploitation of the workers, and we know the hadith, it says, pay your worker before the sweat is dried. So how can these companies be Sharia compliant, but and well, if we look from the ethical perspective, they are already delisted from the list. So is there any problem in the Sharia compliancy, or is this Sharia screening is just fulfilling the goal of the capitalist goal? So what's your opinion on that? Thank you.
Alright, Prof.
Respon.
Kita nak kumpul atau kita nak jawab terus, Prof?
Boleh je?
Oh, kita bang pada Prof, kita jawab dulu, Prof, ya?
Jawab terus ya?
Jawab terus.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Farouk. Okay. Now, all these are the matters on ESG kind of thing, is quite new. I mean that, even Bank Negara also are now pushing for ESG kind of thing. But the core to me, again, because we don't truly understand what Sharia and Islamic finance is, the way how even Sharia compliant so-called status company, and then the way how we do business as well, again, it is not comprehensive enough. Again, if I were to relate to the Quranic verse that I did mention again just now, فَانْتَشِرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ, we did it, right? But again, we don't وَذْكُرُوا, we don't bring it back. Now, not to blame anyone anyhow, however, one of the, what we call it, weakness is that the scholars doesn't come out with a good concept, a good, a wish. How can we translate this? Governance, for example, is something which is highly embedded dalam Sharia, right? But, well, we rely on corporate governance, and then later on, well, Sharia governance come out. So these are things that I think that the failure of scholars, basically, to come out with the concept, with the, what we call it, kind of, that can be. And this is, however, done by the standard setting body, yeah, FSB and whatnot. So these are the lost treasure, I would say, for Islamic kind of thing. But of course, from Sharia wise, we should be observing all those. We need to be good to people. We need to be good to animal, environment. What more, your own staff and workers. So I believe this is then again our duty then to bring it back into the mainstreaming, bringing the tools that we have it here. In the context of our discussion today, Islamic finance, we need to show that Islamic finance have those elements already, right? So when we bring Islamic finance, you are not bringing only certain business kind of thing, but ESG, we have ihsan. The beautiful concept of ihsan is there. But of course, now because we rely on the concept that have been introduced by non-Muslim, if I were to say, so therefore the element of religion, the element of iman is not there. So those are the challenge for us. And then I believe that we as educators, we need to inculcate this in our lectures, and the scholars who may come out with those beautiful concepts, objective, then that can be, may not be today. It may be 10 years later, or which we used to teach them at that one class, for example. I think that is our duty, if I can respond to you, Dr. Farouk.
Thank you, Prof. Another question, please. Okay, silakan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Prof Zunaida, kita bagi dulu pada Terengganu Ing punya.
Okay, thank you.
Kak Zu harap bertenang ya.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi.
My name is Nolaisha Laha. I'm from Terengganu Ing.
Again, nama apa? Puan nama apa?
Nolaisha Laha.
Alright. Okay, puan dari mana puan?
Saya dari Terengganu Incorporated. Sdn Bhd.
Soalan kan tahu daripada Terengganu Ing, tanya lagi kan Terengganu Ing. Okey, silakan soalan.
Prof, saya ada dua soalan. Okey, soalan pertama, terdapat masalah which is terdapat kesalahfahaman dari segi perbezaan antara Islamic finance dan juga conventional financing, which is people tends to understand that Islamic finance is complicated and dan juga expensive. But with conventional, they think that conventional is lebih murah dan juga lebih cepat keuntungan, pulangan balik. Jadi bolehkah Prof komen berkenaan kesalahfahaman ini? Itu soalan yang pertama. Soalan yang kedua adalah terdapat banyak kajian baru yang menyatakan bahawa Islamic finance sebenarnya membantu mengurangkan masalah dari segi corruption dan juga integriti. Jadi saya mohon untuk Prof komen dan bagi pendapat berkenaan kajian baru ini. Itu saja. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih. Saya tak perasan, tak boleh tak catch nama tadi.
Laisha Laha.
Laisa Laha.
Laisa Laha min
Laisa Laha, Masya Allah. Okey. Laisa Laha min dunillahi kashifah.
Ya, benar.
Okey. Saya rasa, terima kasih soalan tu ya. Soalan pasal understanding Islamic finance tu, rasanya Prof Yati masa kita baru-baru belajar Islamic finance pun isulah dia tu lah kan. banyak study, banyak research, yang understanding tu sampai sekarang masih lagi isu tu. Masih lagi isu tu. Sampai to an extent researcher dah tak buat dah research understanding Islamic finance. Tak ada dah kan? Sebab rasa tak selesai-selesai masa tu. Now, pada saya, bagaimana orang tidak faham Islam daripada dulu sampai sekarang, benda tu akan sentiasa berlaku. Sentiasa akan ada. Okey, jadi kalau semua orang faham, tak ada dah lah kerja saya. Tak adalah kerja kita kan. Lecturer nak ajar pun semua orang dah faham. Jadi okey, tapi betul sekarang ni kita masih lagi dalam level yang orang yang tak faham tu sangat ramai berbanding orang yang faham. Okey. Kita punya weakness adalah mereka-mereka yang dalam Islamic finance ni, kita tidak pandai untuk bring down the communication tu kepada orang ramai. Satu, macam kita cerita tadi, Laisalah lecturer ke? Terengganu Inc. Researcher. Okay. But anyone Now, if we want to explain deposit lah untuk konvensional, senang je kan? Tapi kita nak cerita deposit kita Islamic ni pakai tawarruk. Tawarruk ni apa? Kita pun ceritalah, kita pergi dekat bank, kita suruh bank beli komoditi CPO dengan bursa. Tak pernah dengar pun apa bursa suk as-silah tu. Okey, lepas tu saya dapat apa? Saya dapat CPO. Lepas tu CPO jual pula. Now, the fact that Islamic finance tu dia agak kompleks. Kompleks in a sense that the transaction dia tu tidak straightforward. Kalau deposit yang kita bagi pinjamkan duit, dia bagilah untung kat kita. Conventional, straightforward kan? Yang ini kita nak cerita, okey, deposit Islamic ni based on tawarruk. Soalannya tawarruk tu macam mana? Kita pun mula cerita. Kita pergi dekat bank, bank beli CPO, bank jual CPO, lepas tu kita pun dapatlah duit untung. Itu pun dah sangat kompleks. Now, how are we going to explain the tawarruk concept kepada orang yang bertanya tadi tu? Kita pun cerita tu, it will take us, nak cerita pasal tawarruk tu maybe 10 minutes. Ada ke klien ataupun depositor datang buka tu, kita pun cerita lagi ni puan ni kan beli macam ni, beli macam ni. Itu the challenge dia. No, you will not be able to expect the frontliner of the bank to be explaining to you how tawarruk works for your investment, for your financing, for whatever, because they cannot afford to do that. Kalau tidak, 3 jam tak habis lagi. Betul tak? 3 jam tu banyaklah sangat kot. Sejam tu tak habis lah kot. Dapat orang yang lecturer, professor ni, dia tanya banyak soalan. Okey, kan? So how are we going to do that? How going to we need to ensure that public understand it. How? Reading, communication, media. Orang yang menulis pasal Islamic finance dekat social media berapa orang aja? Most of us, Islamic finance ni sangat so-called elite because kita write dekat Scopus. Kita write dekat academic journal Q1, Q2. Berapa orang yang dapat akses? Yang dapat akses tu adalah researchers. Not to deny that this publication is important for researchers. But we need also to ada us yang understand Islamic finance ni tu menulis dekat social media, popular writing, addressing the issues and concerns of the people. Contohnya ada statement, ada dekat kolom that consumer kata Islamic finance mahal. Apa kita buat? Kita bawa, the best that we do is that we bring that in the class and then discuss with our students. How many our students? 30 in the class. Right? Now, it would be better if we take that comment and then write a commentary responding that and then go to the media, yang popular media, kat newspaper ke, now social media and whatnot, so that people read our jadi orang baca. Kita tak buat, okay? Not to say that me also, because we are so used of academic writing. Bring down or tone down our ilmu ni untuk address The need of people ni, kita rasa ya Allah susahnya. Kita boleh write 20 page of academic paper, no problem. Writing 20 paragraph or 20 sentence of media punya writing, saya tak boleh. Why I'm saying that yesterday? Because we understand it, saya buat satu course untuk my lecturers, my members on popular writing. And then kita buat exercise tu. Dia minta saya tulis 20 sentence, 20 sentence sahaja pasal any topic on Islamic finance yang kita rasa kita boleh address public, yang nak keluar dalam newspaper, dalam berita harian ke, utusan ke. Program sehari, pagi dia bagi talk, half a day, lepas tu kita buat exercise semua, sampai sudah saya tak siap. You understand? It's that challenge lah basically. Satu. Yang keduanya, because of that complexity tu juga, kita sendiri pun, we are not explaining to our people surrounding us. Tak payah cerita banyak. Cerita pasal importance of takaful. We didn't put in takaful context here. Saudara mara kita dah ambil takaful ke belum? Ada tak kita bertanya, ambil takaful ke belum? Kita explain pada the importance of takaful. Okay? Because takaful penetration Malaysia is very low. Of course, that's why financial blueprint by what we call it financial master plan by negara talking about increase of the number. Now we are at 18%. Now we hope that we move few more dalam 26% macam tu by that. So hopefully that is, we need to communicate definitely we need to communicate. Yeah. Okay, then how are we communicating? Yang itu mengikut capability kita masing-masing. Tapi we need to tone down, which I personally also I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that enough lah. Bila saya explain pun, sebab saya dalam Islamic finance, saya balik cerita dengan ni pun, dia tak faham pun. Nak bercerita tu kita kata beli tawarruk, beli CPO, apa benda ni? Doesn't make sense pun dia. Duit saya RM100 aja, nak beli CPO, nak buat apa dengan CPO? Dia akan a lot of questions. So we need to be very done. Then on regards of corruption, I believe Laisa Lahad mentioned tadi, again to me it goes down to, well, what is the value yang Syariah Islamic finance bawa? Kita bukan takut pada bos saja, bos kena takut, kan, kena respect. Tapi most importantly kita takut pada Allah. Itu yang value Syariah culture yang saya cakap tadi tu. Yeah? Yang is go beyond your KPI itu bukan itu saja, tapi how good you are in terms of promoting your akhlak, your iman and whatnot. Jadi it's not a surprise. Through Islamic finance dengan value yang dia ada tu, kita akan be able to resolve that particular issue. Yeah? Wallahu a'lam.
Okey Prof, terima kasih Puan Laisa Laha min dunillahi kashifah. Prof pernah terfikir tak bagaimana ibu bapanya memberi nama beliau seunik begini?
Masya-Allah.
Masya-Allah. Baiklah, kita jemput Profesor Madya, Dr. Zunaida dari Faculty of Business Management.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Prof. Datin, thank you so much for a very insightful thought and knowledge sharing with us this morning. I am Zunaida from the Faculty of Business and Management. Please allow me to seek your valuable opinions and views on my two humble brief questions. As mentioned by Prof and also Dr. Farouk just now, how does the concept of ESG, environment, social and governance, embedded in investment decisions fit within the framework of Islamic finance principles? To say that, in what ways and how it complement each other, and also what are the potential conflicts or, if any, or challenges that it may arise? That's my first question. And to my second question, this is quite basic questions. If our iman is not so, our faith not so strong. What are the key factors that investors must consider when balancing the desire for strong investment returns versus within the need to ensure Sharia compliant? Thank you so much, Prof.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zuraida. Bos saya tu, ya, saya dulu masa saya assessor untuk ni kan, dulu saya dapat instruction daripada dia. Alhamdulillah, thank you very much. What we call it on ESG, Bank Negara, in the context of Bank Negara, of course globally there are a lot of standards, issues, that what we call standards and parameters that have been issued in terms of the financial institution, for example, and corporation to measure and to report their ESG activities. For Malaysia, Bank Negara has also issued the same parameter for ESG. There's a similar, like previously there's a scorecard for VBI, so now ESG also came into the picture. So for financial institutions and the Bank Negara, they need not only to report on VBI but also ESG. So there are certain parameters, there are certain checklists that they must be doing. The easiest and the most, what we call it, the easy thing that they need, one of the requirements is that you must provide report in your annual, what we call it, report. So every FI's annual report must have the report on sustainability. So they need to report what are the sustainability activities that they are doing and whatnot. And number two, of course, it must incorporate in your corporate culture, corporate value, the ESG, what we call it, your corporate intent for ESG and whatnot. And thus most of the FI now have either a department or unit on sustainability, how to incorporate the sustainability agenda in their operation. Now, one of the items that they are doing is that when screening of the potential client, they have started doing the screening of which for the company where the business is more on, destroying the, for example, the environment and whatnot. So plantation, and construction companies, for example, or manufacturing as well, are normally not in the preferred list. Not in the preferred list. So not to say that they will not be considering at all, but if they were to take this list, this type of company, then the financial institution must provide guidance for this company. So means that, let's say there's pembalakan company lah contohnya, yang nak dapatkan what we call it project and whatnot from bank. So if bank take it, the first thing that the bank will do, the challenge is that whether this company dah ESG ataupun belum. Kalau dia belum, tapi bank kata nak ambil, bank said that they want to take because this is a good customer and client, for example, bank must be able to provide guidance for the company to what we call it, moving towards ESG, compliant company and whatnot, either by giving consultancy, advice, and so on and so forth. So it has to be some kind of what we call it, plan that Islamic financial institution or financial institution must have with that particular client. So means that there must be some kind of hand-holding thing lah. And after some time, if there's no positive response from the company, for example, bank need to make a decision that no more, no more helping out this by giving financing and whatnot to this kind of company. So that the decision that the bank has, in fact, now is already been practiced in the banks, because that is the expectation from the central bank, our regulator. So the second question pasal apa tadi, lupa dah.
Is it the first questions or the second?
Second.
Second. This is common, very common questions. What are the key factors that investors must consider you have the desire for to balance lah between the strong investment returns versus the need to ensure with Sharia compliant, especially on the crypto whatever lah, and also some because they are like still especially for still unsure, uncertain about certain stocks.
Okay, thank you. So I can relate to my earlier, because I believe that it is related as well. So means that if you have a very good client, banks have a very good client, then you may not put or delist them altogether, because if, for example, they are very good paymaster kind of thing, and even, for example, for us to invest, it's just that we need to provide that guidance. So I believe that my first question may also answer, if I get it right from Dr. Zunaida just now, that we need to give this hand-holding or consultancy kind of thing. Yeah? So it has to be there. And thus, bank must provide a good, what we call it, talent, who can do this. So that's why the importance of having the department or units just now, so that these people will help the customer or the client for them to become ESG. Yeah? So become ESG compliant. So you don't need to release all your so-called cash cow kind of thing. Yeah? But what you need to be doing, you need to prove that you are capable of helping them, and at one point of time they become ESG compliant. Yeah? And that is provided, and then so you need to report what you are doing and whatnot. Yeah? So I think that's the way. Previously, when ESG came out, even VBI, so that was the first. I mean that is what we call the fear of the bank. Means that all my clients that are in plantations, ONG need to be no. Okay, you don't need to put them down, but rather than you must enhance your team. Then you need to guide them, and that is better. That is what Islah is all about. Yeah? Islah does not mean that, you are not good, so I put you aside. That no. Islah means that we need to be consulting them and then bring them to the right so-called, path in a way. Wallahu alam.
Thank you, Prof. Alright, last question. Kenalkan siapa? Tuan, Encik.
Tes.
Okay. Tak apa. Boleh dua lepas tu. Sikit-sikit je. Jangan panjang, jangan soalan panjang sangat.
Okey. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi.
Daripada Terengganu Ing. Soalan saya simple je. Sebelum tu, terima kasih kepada penganjur program atas pencerahan amat baiklah. Kita boleh tahu syariah stock screening, kaedah kualitatif, kuantitatif semua tu. So yang mana saya rasa benda ni tidak diwar-warkan ataupun tidak dimaklumi oleh pengamat industri lah. Jadi kalau kita tengok situ lebih kepada pembentangan Prof tadi tu lebih kepada dunia kewangan Islam. Tapi bila kita masuk kepada TI, dia keluar daripada dunia kewangan Islam. Jadi kita nak tanya pada Prof, adakah ada sebarang rujukan ataupun badan yang mengawal sedia berkaitan dengan isu-isu syariah compliant ni untuk industri bukan kewangan Islam? Itu yang pertama. Yang kedua ialah kalau kita tengok okey, terima kasih. Okey, yang kedua kita tengok tadi dari segi pematuhan syariah tu kita tengok ada percentage dia. Maknanya bukan fully 100% saham-saham di bursa sebenarnya patuh syariah. Begitu juga hotel-hotel patuh syariah ataupun hotel mesra muslim sebenarnya bukan 100% fully pun dia ikut pematuhan syariah yang sebenarnya. Cuma dia ada dia punya ketetapan yang dibuat oleh badan-badan tertentu. Jadi adakah Prof setuju sebenarnya semua amalan syariah compliant ataupun pematuhan syariah di Malaysia ni ialah menggunakan konsep alal aqal. Bahasa Inggeris ni at least kena ada ni, at least kena buat ni. Terima kasih Prof.
Terima kasih, saya tak dapat nama tadi, minta maaf ya. Dua soalan, satu adalah kawal selia. Kalau di Malaysia ni kita ada badan kawal selia kita, that is regulator bank negara, Securities Commission, dan kita ada juga kawal selia badan di Labuan ya, untuk offshore. Jadi Malaysia memang bagus in terms of kawal selia. Kita adalah model kepada dunia luar tentang kawal selia Islamic finance ni. Sebab tu kita rank nombor 1 tu. Antaranya the biggest what we call it strength kita adalah kawal selia kita, tadbir urus. Dan because of kita strong tadbir urus kita tu, sebab tu kita bagi syarat, bank negara bagi banyak syarat. Setiap bank kena ada 5 orang syariah committee members. Yang nak jadi syariah committee members ni bukan semestinya orang syariah tak semestinya orang syariah. So orang ekonomi, orang macam-macam, orang sains pun ada. Tapi so far as of now banyak yang syariah dan juga ekonomi, accounting dan sebagainya. So Securities Commission however tidak se-stringent bank negara. Now sebab Securities Commission ni dia global and what not. Kita ada lagi however other institution yang involved dalam Islamic finance. Terengganu Inc is a good example. Dia dikawal selia oleh siapa? Tak ada pun satu kawal selia yang tak ada. It's more on internal good practice. So that depends very much on the board of directors. Kita mengharapkan apabila financial institution ni, financial system, financial institutions ni strong dari segi kawal selia, benda ni akan juga memberikan tempias kepada other corporation and companies on Islamic finance dan adakan tadbir urus. Contohnya dia tak ada pun dalam akta kata Terengganu Inc kata mesti ada syariah committee. But the decision is made by the board of directors. How the board of directors that would like to do that. So this depends on either the board of directors and management are aware that we need to be ensuring syariah compliance, and thus ditubuhkanlah jawatan kuasa syariah ni. Koperasi dan sebagainya. Dia banyak lagi institution di luar sana yang tidak ada direct dari segi badan yang kawal selia, tetapi mereka buat benda tu. Koperasi dan sebagainya pun dah ada dah syariah komiti yang dilantik sekarang ni. Pajak gadai dan sebagainya. Jadi awareness tu antara benda yang berlakulah di dalam community kita, dan companies and what not start adopting kawal selia yang baik. Yang ada under regulation, they are very strict because ada regulation dia. Tak buat jadi non-compliance on the regulation. Yang tak ada regulation specifically is more on best practice, good practice of the institution for them to incorporate tadbir urus syariah dan sebagainya. Yang kedua saya dah lupa dah, wallahu alam. Tadi.
Yang kedua, Prof setuju ke amalan syariah compliant di Malaysia semua industri menggunakan pakai konsep at least alal aqal?
Saya tak clear, sorry. Your sound.
Maksudnya syariah compliant di Malaysia sama ada financing ataupun non financing sebenarnya menggunakan pakai konsep alal aqal.
Oh, alal aqal tu. Okay. For syariah compliant, how to determine whether the company or corporation is syariah compliant or not? Kita ada screening criteria yang Securities Commission dah keluarkan tu. Macam mana kita nak evaluate? Kita tengok business nature dia, dan income dia 5% and 20%. Jadi itu adalah standards yang diguna pakai bukan saja di Malaysia, but globally also kita pakai. Kenapa kita masih ada 5% tu? Kalau kita kata syariah compliant must be 0% lah, kan? Mesti 100% syariah compliant. But we need to understand the reality of the business, the reality of the world, that tidak semuanya company, and then in fact Islamic finance what we call it pun masih small lagi as compared to conventional finance. So we need to what we call it acknowledge the importance of dealing with non-compliant counterparty, for example, right? And thus the 5% exemption is given. Malaysia kita ada 5%, kita ada 20%. Now we are different. Kalau Dow Jones contohnya FTSE dah ada 5% aja, tapi kita masih ada 20%. One of the reason why we are a bit more flexible, sebab kita nak kalau company tu dia ada 5%, dia ada 20% return daripada ijarah dia, leasing dia yang non compliant. Jadi tapi company tu masih boleh di-listed sebagai syariah compliant di bursa. Apa advantage dia? numbers of stock yang kita boleh beli lagi banyak. Kalau kita stringent, kita buang 20 tu, we did not manage. Now kita ada yang latest November tu 700 lebih, 800 lebih company. So kalau kita lagi stringent, the numbers will be reduced. Jadi kita nak invest kat mana nanti? Investor tak akan ada ruang untuk invest. Yes, kalau company yang ada capability untuk evaluate screening sendiri, then you can go to venture capital and what not, private equity. Tapi tak semua company yang mampu buat itu. Jadi kita agak relax di situ. Dalam syariah pun saya rasa ada qawaid yang membenarkan untuk kita. Tak semestinya orang tu 100%. Macam kita bagi simple penyataan Rasulullah pun dealing pun ada juga dengan non-Muslim. Tapi bukanlah bermakna yang so saya cuba simple analogy kat situ. I'm not the Sharia scholar kind of thing, tapi itu adalah position syariahnya. Dan at the end of the day, the maslahah. If we are too stringent to the extent that we cannot offer Islamic finance, that is more damaging. That is more fasad. Kita tak ada alternatif. So we do it. But moving over time, insyaAllah, we are doing it better. Kita tak boleh nak impose sangat, because Islamic finance against conventional finance globally is very small. Kita tak sampai 30% pun lagi. So once we are bigger, then we can, I would say, put certain things lah. But as of now, we are still yet to grow, insyaAllah. Yes, Prof. I hope this is the short one. Last one.
The last question.
Memang short. Terima kasih, Prof, atas ucapan tadi, atas jawapan. Soalan saya ini, Prof. Saya start dengan Islam menghalalkan jual beli dan mengharamkan riba. Okey. Soalan saya, adakah Islamic finance ini memang 100% bebas daripada riba, atau hanya sekadar menggunakan perkataan-perkataan yang untuk menterjemahkan riba, untuk mengeluarkan riba itu daripada konsep Islamic finance? Terima kasih.
Okay. Terima kasih, Prof. Soalan yang sangat mencabar sebenarnya. Nampak simple je tapi sangat mencabar. Soalan riba ni, masya-Allah. Okey. Islam berdasarkan trading kita, commercial transaction kita berdasarkan kepada jual beli. Ada however yang kata jual beli je lah, ada tak? Jual beli tu sebenarnya boleh juga ijarahnya, boleh jual leasing dan sebagainya. As long as benda tu comply dengan syariah. Adakah Islamic finance yang kita buat sekarang ni free daripada riba? Saya personally, ini personal pendapat saya kata nak 100% tu saya pun sendiri tak confident. I'm not confident. There could be some element of riba. Now, saya bagi simple. Bank ataupun any company buat trading. Saya bagi contoh, saya sendiri, saya dekat Exim Bank. Bila it is a government mandated company, institution, and government minta pergi contohnya bagi financing kepada company di Mogadishu, let's say. Over there, tak ada pun komen Islamic. But we have to give. We put our term that is Sharia, but to them, they don't apa ni. So, bila kita dealing dengan the other counterparty, they still treat it conventional loan. Jadi dia bagilah interest kat kita. Tapi on our side, this is tawarruk profit, this is ijarah profit, this is whatever profit. Sebab tu saya kata nak kata clean secara total, I doubt that. Satu. Yang kedua, that company tu yang kita bagi tu, yang kat country dia tu tak ada pun takaful. Kita terpaksa ambil insurans untuk cover dia. Sebab negara dia tak ada, ataupun company tak ada nak cover negara yang so, especially those country yang prone to war kind of thing, yang tak stable tu, all political risk, definitely kita ada conventional. Kenapa tak ada takaful? Memang tak ada takaful yang cover. So itu antara, saya bagi contoh. It's a real case and we have to bring it at Syariah committee level. What is the level? Betul ke ni memang tak ada? So what we are doing, continue doing is that you kena cari kat mana, ada ke tidak. They must show to us that actually we have approached these 20 company, takaful company, yang boleh offer all takaful, all political risk, for example, political risk takaful, semuanya tak ada. Then, kita kata terpaksalah nak buat macam mana. Takkanlah you nak bagi millions, billion of project kepada company di sana tak ada takaful. Right? Because anything dia tak bayar, alah sudahlah kita will be damaging on this. So these are the real, what we call it, incidents and issues that we are facing, Prof. The real one. So nak kata kita clean, detach all together, I personally think that no. But does it amounting to Syariah non-compliant? Itu isu saya. Isu kita yang kita discuss hari ni. Adakah ini dikira sebagai, oh ni tak comply dengan Syariah ni? Saya berpendapat tidak. Sebab dalam Islam, dalam syarak, ada memberikan kelonggaran. Ada exemption, ada istithnaiyah. Kan? Ada dalam situasi-situasi yang tertentu kita boleh diberi kelonggaran. Tapi kelonggaran itu bukan selama-lamanya. Maksudnya, macam saya tadi kan dia kata, kalau ada takaful yang provide the same, kita kena ambil. Wajib ambil. Macam mana kita nak tahu dia ambil ke tak? Dia kena report pada kita every year. Bila dia nak renew aja, kita kena check. Kita kena check. Jadi maksudnya benda ni kita kena governance, kena tadbir urus kena bagus. There are situation of which the company, the business you definitely cannot, because itu realitinya. Tetapi adakah itu tidak yang tidak comply, kalau dia ada tapi dia tak nak ambil sebab oh mahal lah, no, that one tak comply, tidak comply dengan syariah. Tapi when they exhaust all efforts tapi tak ada dan dia bawa kepada syariah untuk approval, orang syariah board akan kata boleh approve tapi annually kena datang, kita kena buat review every year, then it's okay. Itu yang berlaku, tadbir urus syariah yang berlaku di dalam finance sekarang. Okay. Kalau di Malaysia kita agak comfortable because environment tu better, we have options and whatnot. But particularly the biggest challenge apabila kita ada cross border. Itu akan banyak challenge untuk kita lah. Wallahu alam. Tapi dalam sebagaimana yang saya cakap, pada pendapat saya itu ada exemption daripada syariah. Jadi kita nak kata dia tak comply, tidak, sebab dalam Islam ni ada masalah, ada orang kata rukhsahnya. Wallahu a'lam bissawab. Jadi
okey.
Oh ada.
Kita
satu lagi.
Oh baik sebab
okay.
Ini profesor saya ni kena bagi walaupun esok kita tunggu Prof. Kita tunggu. Silakan.
Okey, soalan penutup. Okey, persoalan kajian ni research question lah. Di mana silapnya? Okey, di mana silapnya? Okey, kita cakap tentang Islamic finance. Dan Islamic finance telah 20 hingga 30 tahun telah berada di negara ini dan di kalangan orang Islam. Di mana silapnya? Hajat gadai Islam tutup, hajat gadai bukan Islam bercambah. Di mana silapnya? Ini adalah untuk kajian akademik. Okey, ada suatu masa saya berada dalam taklimat yang diberikan oleh penistaf Bank Islam, promosi pinjaman kenderaan, pinjaman peribadi, pinjaman perumahan. Dan bila soalan ditanya, kenapa Islamic finance ni dia kos dia mahal sikit? Okey, tu soalan itu ditanya betul. Lepas tu sebab pensyarah penanya tu di kalangan pensyarah, bila orang berislam cakap dia tanya aku ni pula. Akhir sekali apa? Orang berislam tu cakap, kalau ayam yang sembelih mestilah mahal. Itu bukan jawapan dia.
Sabar Prof.
Memalukan.
Prof, buat tenang Prof.
Memalukan.
Ya.
Kalau ayam sembelih mestilah lebih mahal daripada ayam yang kena langgar kat kereta tu. Itu bukan jawapan dia. Okey, soalan itu berapa soalan? Satu.
Prof nak tanya
Satu A, satu B, satu C.
Kita tunggu seminggu Prof
Satu
sini.
soalan, satu
Okey,
C.
satu lagi.
Satu C, satu C.
Last question.
Okey, last question. Okey, kita bercakap tentang tadi kita concern ramai orang kata tak faham tentang Islamic finance. That's why mereka tidak ambil pinjaman Islam, pinjaman perumahan, pinjaman peribadi, pinjam kereta. Mereka ambil. Mereka telah ambil. Masalahnya kenapa mereka tidak loyal dalam bisnes kan marketing, dia panggil customer loyalty. Dia tidak loyal. Bukan saja tidak loyal untuk memakai retention, tetapi tidak positive word of mouth. Di sebaliknya adalah negative word of mouth. Saya dah ambil tetapi, ini pengalaman saya dah ambil tetapi, itu adalah persoalan kajian. Di mana silapnya? Okey, terima kasih. Bukan saya cakap tu. Itu tadi kat belakang pun saya cakap itu persoalan kajian, dilema. Kita bercakap tentang dilema. Dan ini boleh membuka ruang kepada kajian akademik. Okey, terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih Prof. Sebab tu saya kata tadi soalan pasal misconception ni akan prevailing lah sampai, nak kata tak adalah sampai bila-bila tapi maksudnya sampai sekarang, after how many years of doing Islamic finance pun kita masih ada isu ya. Now, isu yang paling utama dalam masyarakat adalah mahal. Now, ini perception. Saya minta maaf saya sendiri pun dah banyak study, saya dah buat sendiri. Simulation antara konvensional dengan Islamic, dia sama. Saya bukan buat 1-2 simulation yang pricing dari segi pricing sama, tapi yang jadi tu apabila comparison tu bukan apple to apple, dia ambil yang Islamic ni yang banyak default, tapi yang konvensional dia ambil yang good paymaster. Jadi at the endnya resultnya wah murahlah Islam konvensional berbanding dengan Islamic. Dia tidak ambil yang konvensional yang juga banyak series of default. At the end of the day, kalau you bawa apple to apple comparison, kita akan dapat paling kurang pricingnya adalah sama. Pricingnya adalah sama. Ataupun Islamic lagi murah. Sebab dia ada ibrak, dia ada early settlement dan sebagainya. Now, tapi bukan tapi lah dulu kita pernah pricing kita sangat rigid. Pricing Islamic finance punya produk sangat rigid. Kita macam bank Islam dulu pun masa mula-mula dia buat fix, fix throughout. Jadi fix dia tu sangat tinggi. Tapi sekarang ni pricing kita dah based on floating. Jadi whatever pricing yang effective rate yang bank tu ada untuk Islamic dan konvensional adalah effective rate yang sama. Jadi saya pun tak faham kenapa masyarakat masih mengatakan benda tu mahal. Sedangkan bila kita buat study, because researcher buat study, kita buat comparison simulation, that's not the case. Kadang juga tidak membantu apabila frontliner, sebab kita punya pricing kita sekarang ni kita ada max, shilling rate, and then shilling rate tu tinggi. You pergi konvensional, dia kata contohnya 7%. Kita pergi Islamic, dia kata 10%. So 10% compared to 7%, of course lah konvensional lagi murah, Islamic lagi mahal. Tapi sebenarnya yang 10% tu adalah shilling rate. Shilling maksudnya itu adalah amount yang the maximum yang bank Islam akan dan dibolehkan untuk charge. Tapi apa charge yang on monthly basis payment installment yang kita yang customer bagi, yang customer being charge? The effective rate. The effective rate adalah effective rate pada hari customer tu buat bayaran. Kalau dua-dua konvensional dengan Islamic buat, Islamic hari ni, konvensional hari ni, rate-nya adalah 5, then it's going to be 5. Bank tak akan ambil rate yang lain. Itu adalah effective rate on the day where or when the customer pay. Jadi sama. Jadi jangan tengok yang shilling. Shilling adalah max. Now, the scenario akan jadi on Islamic benefit apabila rate yang effective rate-nya melebihi 10, contohnya dia go to 11, konvensional akan charge 11. That's the rule of thumb. Islamic dia charge berapa? 10. Islamic boleh tak charge satu lagi tu sebab itu adalah effective rate? No, tak boleh, dah haram. Not allowed, because that is not allowed by them, because the akad stated that the maximum rate yang bank boleh charge adalah 10. Jadi customer ni, client, consumer ni, dia tak nampak yang that rate yang tinggi tu, of which Islamic akan stand 5 lah, 10 lah. Conventional, however, dia akan move. Dia akan move. Jadi kalaulah turun, semua akan turun. So sama aja. So kita akan ada banyak manfaat sekiranya kalau rate tu tinggi, tetapi Islami akan fix that rate. Dia tak boleh. Habis itu macam mana, tak baguslah untuk company, untuk bank. Dia kena absorb. They are not allowed. Because itu dah bukan beyond, itu bukan harga yang telah ditetapkan. Kita go back to akad kata 10 dan 10 lah. Tak boleh lebih pada tu. Dia nak bagi kurang, boleh tak? Saya beli dengan tu kan, kata bagi ingat RM10 tapi kuranglah sikit, tak apa. Boleh tak? Islam buat benda tu. Sharia and Islamic banks are doing that. So isu yang mahal ini still ada stigma tu, if I were to say, but then when we do the real punya calculation, it's not. But maybe these have not been properly communicated to the public at large. Sebab nak explain macam saya tadi tu, dia ada shilling rate, lepas tu dia ada ibrak, dia ada early settlement. Bukan mudah kita nak bercerita. Now, another example, masa moratorium. We are much better compared to conventional, right? Sebab masa moratorium kita tak charge pun profit. Whatever yang dia dah bawa tu, itulah prinsipal. Katakanlah sepanjang moratorium tu, selama 6 bulan, kita bawa dia punya prinsipal dia tu sebanyak 1,000 lah kita tak charge dah. Walaupun dia nak bayar habis towards the end nanti. But conventional is not that. Conventional akan bawa dan akan accumulatekan semua tu, akan jadi prinsipal. But we are not doing that. So we don't have any compounding thing. In Sharia, in Islamic, we are not allowed to compound. Yang dah lepas tak boleh. Which dalam conventional, I think you know finance how it works, right? Compounding tu mesti ada, because it is considered as debt, not paid. Obligation that you need to pay. So that is the amount. So itulah yang saya kata tu. Jadi sebenarnya apa yang kita buat dalam Islamic finance ni, but still, then yang saya rasa tak wajar lah kalau bank, orang bank tu kata yang sembelih tak sembelih tu. Betul, saya setuju dengan Prof. Tak wajar dia jawab, samalah sembelih tak sembelih. Tak, that's not the question. But again, as my point just now, the frontliner, if they were to explain this shilling rate and whatnot, dia jadi macam, dia tak, whether orang tu understand or not, if I can explain, my explanation is wrong. Jadi masih ada issue of which kita kena ensure, banks kena ensure that frontliners ni faham apa yang kita buat. However, most of the frontliner ni yang diberikan pengetahuan information pada mereka adalah about products. Yang technical ni mungkin kurang diberikan orang kata the information lah. So itu adalah challenge dia. Saya tidak apologetic on behalf of the bank, tapi saya rasa bank need to be doing more. And this is always our communication to the bank that you can't compromise knowledge on the frontliners. Frontliner nila akan berjumpa dengan customer.
Alright.
Wallahu alam.
Okay, with that, sorry ladies and gentlemen, we have to stop the question and answer session. Prof, please remain there. We want you to sing a song. Tipu je Prof, tipu. Alright, we like to call upon Associate Professor Dr. Mazuri Abdul Ghani, the Dean of Faculty Business and Management, to present a token of appreciation to our lovely speaker. Please welcome. Thank you, Associate Professor Dr. Mazuri Abdul Ghani and Prof. Datin Rusni Hassan. Please be seated. Alhamdulillah, thank you. And now we have come to the end of our program. Please join me in giving a round of applause to everyone who is involved in Terengganu Professor Talk and made this event possible. We would like to invite our distinguished guests to a session with the media. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to invite everyone for refreshment and also lunch. Thank you everyone. See you again in next time. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.